Fernando, what is your work about?
Well, the work I do is related to my experiences as an engineer. I worked in engineering factories in Mexico for very many years, also in London. And for me, it became relevant that there is a lot of accidents, industrial and to people in industry, but they go unreported. And to me, I saw some accidents rather brutal, people losing hands, losing fingers and stuff like that, and also poisonous acids running on the feet of people and stuff like that. This is a landscape that we not normally choose to ignore because we are very keen to use only the finished product. But in order to achieve that finished product, we have to do very many different things, and some of them are really cruel.
But so you decided to become an artist after that?
I became an artist rather by chance, but it so happened that I wanted to study another career. I had finished engineering in Mexico, came to Europe, and so I found myself studying art history. And by studying art history, it became more clear the differences between Western ways and non-Western ways. I come from a Nahua country in Mexico, and I didn't speak Nahuatl. Now I speak Nahuatl.
Wow.
Because
the family forgot?
My mother, who was the last one on a family of 6, she was the only one to be sent to studying, and therefore she forgot it. She never really did use it, but because this was expected. And when I started learning it back again, my mother realized that she could remember it quite well. And so for me, it's like a late mother tongue, but I learned it from my mother.
And so you speak about your origin here, but you are mixing technology and tradition.
There is a narrative about history in Mexico that obviously has been written by the colonial times, and usually indigenous communities are seen to be backward, somehow left behind in the line of progress. This is not the case. There are many indigenous people who have become doctors, engineers, scientists, all sorts of way of life. Indigenous communities have not remained fossilized in time, and we desire an active participation in whatever ways life takes form in Mexico.
And here, what do you speak about?
Here in my works, I like to think that this is a landscape, an electronic mechanical landscape that we have built about in every other part of the world. But more important than that, to me, is the realization that the electronic system of communication, of creating goods, has set life as humans from nature far removed, and is becoming more and more removed. I noticed this with my own nephews and children, that they have become all too aware of different circumstances in the world. We all know this. This changed. The internet changed this a lot. But we need to speak about these circumstances because to me it's obvious that if we carry on the way we are exploiting nature in order to create the goods that we use at home or elsewhere, we will soon not have an ideal form of life. This is happening already in my hometown. The city has grown so much that now my hometown has become a suburb of Mexico, and it brought along together a lot of drugs, children, well, little girls, pregnant, poverty, and people.
So what do you express in your work?
What I express in my work is rather, I like people to think of a sad situation that we somehow choose to not to see. For me, exploring the electronic world has not been a question of just learning it, but actually scrutinizing it, studying it. I was not an electronic engineer. By becoming so, I have learned different things that, to me, they illustrate the way we think and the way we act.
And you think the progress is something not like a progress, but you use the tools of the progress. You said, I use apocalypse to speak about apocalypse.
Well, this is just a figure of speech. Evidently, when we have a problem, we have to start the problem from whatever sources we can. Whether it's a disease, or whether it's a situation, political or social. And in my case, as an artist, I decided to study electronics because electronics actually show the way we actually think. Electricity, for instance, we don't see it as we just see it as an energy that is available and we use it. But in indigenous